You, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, I am Julie, and I represent the defendant, Ms. Lucy Van Pelt. Jury service is an honorable tradition, and I want to thank you all for taking the time out of your business schedule to serve on this jury. This is a case about negligence and lack of legal common sense. On a Saturday afternoon, the 21st of August 2014, my client, Ms. Lucy Van Pelt, offered to hold a football for Mr. Charlie Brown, the plaintiff. The plaintiff was highly doubtful at first and refused the offer adamantly, because my client usually pulled away the ball. Ms. Van Pelt then convinced him by stating that she possessed a signed document testifying her promise. Mr. Brown then voluntarily accepted the offer by attempting to kick the ball. However, my client decided to pull the ball away anyway. We will now show that Ms. Lucy Van Pelt is not liable for Mr. Brown's physical or psychological damages because the plaintiff's own negligence played a large role in his own injuries. And we will show the contract between Mr. Brown and my client was invalid due to a lack of notarization. Mr. Brown's lack of fundamental legal knowledge led him to assume the validity of the document. Our first witness is Ms. Van Pelt's brother, Mr. Linus Van Pelt. His testimony will demonstrate that prior to the incident, Mr. Brown clearly understood the situation he was into and still chose to pose the unnecessary risk of injuring his back to himself. According to Mr. Van Pelt, Mr. Brown repeatedly refused my client's offer and claimed that he knew that my client was planning on pulling away the ball and seeing him falling on his back. Mr. Brown's assumption of risk therefore bars his right to recovery against a negligent tortfeasor. Our second witness is the town's only notary, Mrs. McKinney. Her testimony will confirm that the document has never been notarized by her and is thus considered invalid by law. Ms. Lucy Van Pelt also never visited her office recently for notarization purposes. My third witness is Mr. Brown's lovable dog, Mr. Snoopy. He will indicate that Mr. Brown has never taken a law-related course at school and that Mr. Brown is always careless and tends to overlook details in his daily life. We anticipate that the plaintiff might argue that the signed document provided by my client misled Mr. Brown and consequently changed his assumption of risk. However, a mere signature cannot hold my client responsible, and the plaintiff's own negligence is instead at fault. My client is in no way has to abide by her oral promise. At the conclusion of this trial, it is my hope that in the interest of justice, you will find that the defendant is not liable for causing Mr. Brown's injuries and render a verdict in her favor. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, thank you for your attention and time.